start off. Let's see. All right. All right. All right. Good afternoon, Tim, and welcome everyone to Chicago Landlord Secrets, Chicago's #1 real estate live event that's happening every single week now for, I can say, 22 or 23 consecutive weeks. So, Tim, what's happening? How you doing, man?
Good. Doing good. I'm glad you can count that high. I lost track a while ago. I know it's been a lot, but it's great.
Man, so we got yesterday, it was like crazy 4 inches in like 15 minutes or something like that. Did you get affected by the weather at all yesterday?
Not like it rained for like 10 minutes. I don't know. Like we had some weird, like the news was covering our clouds, and I guess there was a name for it because they were doing some weird like interlooping thing. I don't even know how to describe it. They look scary, but the rain didn't really hit the way it was supposed to. So we got lucky or missed it.
I think it stayed north because we had some more. I don't know if anything touched down, but we had some more confirmed tornadoes, at least funnel clouds, I guess. It was pretty wicked up here, and we got tons of rain. Even our office here, I had to dry everything up here this morning because we took some water here in the underground. So, but yeah, no, it's definitely crazy. We had some work orders, especially we have a shopping center up in Woodstock that I know we had some roof damage. We had some entry damage, and those tenants were wanting to get that stuff addressed here before 8 a.m. when they opened up. So, it was a crazy morning here at GC.
No, for sure. I had one tech call off because his basement flooded and he was up all night. And that was in like the Berwyn Cicero area, somewhere up there. So definitely a little further north. I think it was hitting hard. We got a ton of stuff came through. I feel like some weeks it's a little slower and we're trying to scramble, and other weeks there's so much stuff we could stretch it out for a month of shows. But what do you want to start with? You want to start with the more serious stuff or the TMZ stuff?
Start with the more serious stuff, and the TMZ stuff will come later.
Fair enough. So at a national level, the housing bill, what was it actually called? The Road to Housing. Yep, Road to Housing Act has passed. Now there's some weird stuff going on with whether the president's going to sign it or not, despite it sort of being the bill that he asked for. But that's the other. At some point, this is going to be signed, and I think some of the funny or the interesting stuff is how close a lot of it is to the bill deck that was just rejected in Illinois. It's a lot about cutting red tape, and I think there's a lot to it. Like I said, we probably can make a couple episodes on it, but if you want, we can just grab a couple parts of it and break it down, and then we can spread it out a little bit.
Yeah, I think grab the couple parts that really touch us as Chicago investors the most, because I thought the overall bill was fairly positive. Now, my skepticism on if it was going to, how difficult it would be to do any of these things, or if it will actually be as effective was still out there. But overall, it wasn't that horrible. And I'd be curious to know. I did see he didn't sign it either, so I don't know what those reasons are. He
won't sign it until they pass the SAVE Act.
Gotcha. All right. So that's
it's completely a political thing. It has nothing to do with his. This is actually like a bill that he sort of, from what I understand, he was sort of pushing for it.
Gotcha.
So yeah. Again, so it's funny. We were messaging about the show a couple days ago when this all came out, and Mark goes, "But it's not that bad." I was like, "We're allowed to have good news too." I agree. It's not terrible. The one. And to me, it's not negative. I don't have any of these clients, and I don't think you do either. If you own more than 350 houses, you can no longer buy any more houses. That's the one thing that on a investor side can be deemed as negative. Doesn't affect apartment buildings. It doesn't affect, rental stuff. But if you're going into cities and buying up the housing stock that's meant for residential, they're limiting that. But I don't know if you have anyone with 350 houses. I know I don't.
I don't. I know a couple of people that do. And the question they asked me when I sent this to them was, are they going to be forced to sell them? Is there anything for those people?
But no, that was taken out. So there's no.
They just can't buy more. They can't. So they
can't buy more. Yep. The only caveat to the buying more part is they are still allowed to build at least, I'm going back to the last one I saw. So unless it changed, they are going to be able to allowed to build rent to, or what is it called?
Right,
Where you build it?
built to rent.
Built
BTR.
to rent, yeah. They're going to be able to do built to rent still. So if they buy a big plot of land and build a bunch of houses and want to rent out the whole community, that's still in play. They can still do that. The one thing I'd have to look, though, there was some talks about adding a provision that you could do that, but in 10 years you have to sell it. I think that got taken out when it went to the Senate, but I don't know if the House put it back in. But I think that was relieved. So basically, the only way they can buy more houses if they're building build to rent communities. So that's really the only thing that I see here, at least that I can see that's a negative for any type of investors. And again, I don't think there's too many of those people watching our show. If they are, that's awesome. But it's really the mom and pops aren't going to be affected negatively by it.
Now, someone also asked me, they own like 500 multifamily units. So maybe they own 40 properties or something like that. That's totally separate. This is a single family home.
350 single family homes.
And the other guy, he also asked me about, does that include condo as well too? And some of the stuff I just didn't know at the time. So I was curious if you know.
I don't know that answer. Here's I'm going to make an assumption, which we both know can make an ass out of both of us, but at least we'll both be together, right? I'm assuming it's going to fall under the legal definition of residential real estate, which is 1 to 4 units.
Gotcha.
So if you have more than 350 1 to 4 unit buildings, you're probably going to get capped.
Gotcha. So I mean,
but it's buildings, not units. So
if you want to get big, then you obviously force you to become a multifamily guy faster. So
yep. Which I think, we don't have to get into that now, but I think that's an end goal that a lot of investors should be looking at, because you start to save a lot of money when you get 50 units in one block versus having to travel around.
There is a Section 8 component in there. Talk to me about that one, because that one, I can see there being a lot of loopholes of that not working for you and me, but I also see, like, if that works out the way it is, that could be super valuable.
So this is where I come to you, and this is where I take what you just said about 30 seconds ago and repeat it back. I love the wording of this. Do I think our government is capable of doing it? I have a lot of doubt. But Section 405, Choice and Affordable Housing Act, it's aiming to expand housing options for voucher holders and streamline participation for landlords. So it's going to do two things, and both of them are with the inspections, right? So one is, which it's interesting how, or I get the connection, but it doesn't necessarily make sense to me. But if you own your home and it's financed by another federal housing program, you automatically meet the voucher choice, and your inspection just has to be done within a year, and you have to pass. So they're going to make it where you can go ahead and you have an FHA loan on your 2-flat, and a CHA tenant wants to move in. There's no inspection requirement. Well, the tenant can move in right away. The inspection requirement just says that you have a year to fix everything if they flag anything, which is amazing, because a year to fix something. I mean, shoot, if you fail a reinspection, you got 30 days. Otherwise, they stop paying you. So that's a plus. And then they're going to set up a system for pre-inspection. So if you're a landlord and you think that you want a Section 8 tenant, or, especially on the south side here, right? It's hard to target them. But if you want to, you're going to probably get Section 8, you can have them come out and pre-inspect. Now, this is where my doubts in the government come. How long is that pre-inspection going to take to schedule? Like, am I going to already find a tenant by the time you? But at least I'll be on the list, and maybe ahead of time. But I've been beating that drum for a while. If we can get pre-inspections, I think a lot more landlords would be happier to accept CHA tenants and Cook County tenant or Section 8 tenants in Illinois, just because it's really just you're losing 3 months of rent because you're waiting on inspections
all day. And the capitalist in me says that CHA or any of the housing, they can make this a revenue stream. Like if I'm a new landlord and I'm pretty interested in it, I'll pay $100 to get on that list to have someone come out, and now they're getting paid for something that they weren't before, because they're not going to come and do another inspection. So now they're actually getting payable inspections. So I mean, there could be a revenue source there for them that people would be happy. It's funny. You and me are business owners, and we charge our clients or our tenants fees, right?
Yep.
And there's fees that if you get value from it, you're happy to pay for it. Or if you don't understand the value for it, then you typically don't want to pay it, or you're frustrated that you have to pay it. So
Yeah.
no different than this. Like, at CHA, it's like, all right, it sucks you getting inspected, but hey, now you're going to do it earlier. Man, I'm actually willing to pay for that, like, and
Yep.
happily pay for that. So there's such an opportunity from a customer service standpoint, and their clients truly are landlords. CHA's client is really the landlord, more so than the actual voucher holder.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I think that's where, I mean, at least in Illinois, right? Like when you talk to people, landlords, and me and you both go to a lot of events and things like that. I think if you were to go to the public that are not involved in real estate, they'd say, oh, well, landlords don't like Section 8 because the tenants are poor and not good tenants. That's not the fact at all. When you talk to landlords and talk to property managers, the tenants are generally, like you said, they stay there for 6, 7 years, 8 years. Their families, they're some of the better tenants because they're long lasting. But the system is such trouble to get through that, there's a lot of landlords that just don't want to do it. They don't want to fill out the paperwork and have it sent back 10 times and then have it, go through inspection, find out that you're missing. I mean, I felt for silly things like the number 1 on a 2-flat was faded too much. Like, if you can't see the outline of the number 1 and know that you're on the first floor of a 2-unit building and determine that that's actually unit 1, like we have some other issues. That's the type of things that they're failing people on. I get major issues and like your roof's caving in and it's not livable. Let's not let our people, I think that is needed. But when you're nitpicking such little things, it gets crazy.
Ease of doing business. I mean, that's what it summarizes up to. Like, you're willing and wanting to do business with them if it's easier to do business with them, and it's difficult, and that's the shame of it. And it's a big bureaucracy, and that's part of the problem you run into. But there's little things that could be tweaked, which bills like this make me very optimistic. So what else, Tim, is in this that?
So real quick, just to close out the Section 8 part, it's also going to create a Saves Act, which is going to take a portion, which I don't actually know how that's going to work, but it's going to take a portion of the rent paid by CHA tenants, or by Section 8, this is federal, right? By Section 8 tenants, and open up savings accounts for them so that they can have money for a down payment. I think a lot of people don't realize this, but there are programs out there where, and I think the thing where this comes in handy, right? If you're an owner and you have a single family home and you're renting it to a Section 8 tenant, there are programs where the government will buy that house for them. So if you're trying to sell it, you might have your buyer and not even know it, and they might not know the program exists. But Section 8 will, instead of paying you for rent for the rest of their life, they'll just buy it and pay the mortgage off and call it a day and then save money there. So it's going to help more people do that by forcing them into having a savings plan. I don't know the details of how that will work, but that's the last of the Section 8 part. But the other stuff where it gets interesting, right, is the increase in housing. And a lot of this is where I was saying it sort of reminds me of the Build Housing Act, or the one that in Illinois it just failed. But increase housing and opportunity zones. So it's going to have more HUD grants for opportunity zones. I feel like that was a big topic for everyone 2 or 3 years ago, and it sort of has died down with the funds. But there's going to be more opportunity zones that they're going to force through. And then just a lot of different acts in here, cutting red tape and cutting the amount of time it takes to get permits and things like that, as well as there's the housing supply framework, which is directing the Department of Housing and Urban Development to develop zoning and land use best practices. So they're really going to try to get into these villages and these little towns across America and try to change the way things are zoned so you can get more housing.
It's funny. I don't mean to sound like a pessimist, but it's like, that's great. How are they going to ever make permits go faster? Like, Chicago wants to make permits move faster, and they can't physically do it.
Do they though?
Yeah, I think they do. I think they have good intentions. I just think they can't, figure it out. Again, back to just being a big bureaucracy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think they're going to start with the little guys probably, and go into the suburbs and say, hey, you need an apartment building here or there. But man, I saw this article. I don't know if I sent it to you or not. Did you see the article the MBOA pushed it from Fox? Someone did a study of when a new home gets built. Have you seen this yet?
I did not see it. No.
Okay, so I'm gonna have you guess, and if you're listening, if you're watching, guess in the comments before you watch the rest of this and see the answer. But a new home gets built. What do you think the average cost that is due to government regulations is? Like the permit fee, it's the amount for permits and the amount of stuff that you have to do, that
water tap and all that stuff. Like
just stuff that the regulations are making you do that you wouldn't have done 20 years ago.
You want a dollar amount or a percentage?
Yeah, dollar amount.
I'd say $30K.
You got two of the three numbers right. 132K is the average.
So you're thinking more for like a building, an entire building. I'm thinking more like a single family home. So
this is for a single family house.
Gotcha.
So for a single family home, that's the average right now in America, I think it's $449 or $450, or no, I think it's $350 for the average house. 132 of that cost is government regulations.
Wow. So would that be included like you got to put copper in, or you have to put a fire sprinkler system? Okay, that definitely makes sense, because man, you're right. The cost to build is crazy. You think about, I always think of like Park Forest, right? You have the same cookie cutter 3-bedroom, 1-bath, or 2-bedroom, 1-bath, across the entire. They can't even build those anymore for anywhere near.
Which is why when builders build, they're building $1 million houses, and then the middle class are still the housing stock in the middle class still isn't developed, because it's not worth building a starter home anymore. There's not a economic way to do it. I was just talking to a contractor. I was walking with them. They're flipping a building that we're going to take over management in, and we started talking about codes. Where was he at? He was in Oak Park, or I forget the exact story, what village he was in. But the electric code in Illinois now says that you have to have power running to all of your islands in your kitchen. It also says you cannot have any outlets on the islands, the kitchen.
It just contradicts itself. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. But I mean, you have to have power to it. You have to be able to put an outlet in it, but you're not legally allowed to put an outlet in it. You can have it where the outlet pops up and down out of the top of the island or something, or it's in like where you don't have access to it. But it just doesn't make any sense. Like, why do I legally have to run power to this island to put an island here, but then I can't use it for anything?
Yeah, it's crazy, all those restrictions. And now you have to have GFCIs and garages as of last year, and they just keep adding things. And there's some safety component to it, but I think what we're seeing now is the safety component is starting to outweigh the hierarchy of needs for humans.
I think the best comment I saw on the comments of this post when I saw it was, if the houses that were built in 1930 are still standing, like there's a good chance that we don't need this much craziness, right? Like, the houses that were built before all this didn't burn down in 100 years. Yeah,
and I just don't understand why, like, displays, so you have to put sprinkler systems into it. It's like, man, like, then the cost to keep up that home is just that much more expensive. Like, I think about, I was talking the other day, and this is a village or a city problem. Municipality is just infrastructure. It's great. You have wide roads in your city, but now it's that many more square feet of concrete you now have to replace, or pavement you have to replace every 12 years or 8 years or whatever. That's great. You put these handrails off these 17-inch drops everywhere, but now those are going to rust out. And it's like, it's great. You have 6 wheelchair accessible ramps in this building, but it's like, now you have to redo that concrete every 20 years. Like, the cost to maintain what they build today is just getting crazy. I look at some of the townhouses that we manage just in Schaumburg. Like, we now have to go do backflow tests on every single house every single year. And then on top of that, we have to get the fire inspection test done. So the actual cost to own a home is going up just in maintenance. It is difficult.
Not to mention your insurance, the insurance costs. And
yeah, because now you have to insure for a higher level because it costs that much more. If I had Bill, the whole cost of what's that ordinance and law to add that to your policy has gone up so much just because there's so much ordinance and law that's been put in place for if you have a house that's older than 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, it's crazy, and it's. I think that we're at a point now where the government keeps trying to come up with all these ideas, and I think a lot of these laws that we're seeing being pitched are, how can we make housing affordable? Let's attack the landlord, attack the landlord, attack the landlord. Just look at if you're the government, look at yourselves. Like, you're the ones causing housing to be so expensive.
And it sucks. The unwinding of it. It's just damn near impossible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to your point there, you know, we had Pat Hines, a new Cook County assessor, incoming guy. We had him on the podcast the other day. And the thing that you know, he's responsible for taking the $18 billion budget between the city and the suburban Cook County towns and spreading it across all the parcels fairly. Like, his job entirely is just to make it fair.
Yeah.
But no one ever talks about, like, why is it 19 billion? Why can't, that's how the fair piece is not what causes the different taxes to be higher. It ends up being we spent $19 billion as a county. Why can't it be 15 billion, which would basically take a large chunk of everyone's tax bill just out, not needed. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of crazy. But no one, the politicians just definitely don't talk about that because they're the ones that are responsible for making it 18 or 19 billion.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's you don't want to cut funds, especially in Chicago, where the money trickles down somewhere into your lineage, and that's just how Chicago has worked forever. You know, when you look at I highly doubt there are many, if any, contracts that you will find that you cannot link somewhere, whether it's friendship or, you know, actual blood, to someone in Chicago that's running it and voting on it. So I don't know. It's rough, and yeah, it's a look in the eye, but the taxes themselves, right? Rent gets so expensive because property taxes in the last 5 years have doubled or tripled.
Yeah, I mean, you look in the south suburbs there, they can blame it on lack of commercial, but there's just so much infrastructure in the south suburbs that the costs for there's just not well-run villages. I'm not trying to hit on any specific person, but I think in the next, I'm totally going on a rant here, but I think in the next 30, 40 years, you're going to start running these issues where villages are just going to have to start filing bankruptcy, or they actually has to be made legal for them to file bankruptcy first.
Who just tried a couple months ago? Didn't a village try it and they got denied by Illinois?
Yeah, didn't Harvey try at one point too?
Yeah, that was trying to. So
but it's like those just get they build on this municipal debt, and then on the whole pension system, they you know, I don't know, it's a man. So everything you're saying and what these bills are trying to do, the struggle they're having is they have to unwind everything that they put in place. They meaning just government in general, which is that's tough, man. And that's why so many people talk about, like, hey, if you let this little bill pass, it might seem minor, but that's their foot in the door to keep changing things. And once their foot's in the door, it's so hard to ever take it back. You never see some sort of tenant friendly or anti-landlord bill pass, and then later on when they realize it doesn't work, they withdraw it. They just kind of build on it to actually, you know, add crap on top of crap sometimes. So
yeah, I mean, going back to my electric, right? I guarantee you that wasn't passed at the same time, right? So someone made a law saying, hey, we got to run power to the island, and then 6 months later, some kid put their finger in the thing, and someone made a law, hey, maybe we shouldn't have these outlets. And it, like, why not think through, hey, maybe we shouldn't have power to the island. Let's take a step back and just do that.
But the reason do you know why the reason why they wanted to put it in the island? There's just a side note here.
No, I don't.
Because they don't want tripping hazards of a cord going across between the main part of your kitchen to the island. You know, you have a cord or something like that, and you're trying to do it. So it's all about tripping hazards.
Yeah, so, I mean, it would make sense, but I still got to run a cord though because I can't get any outlets. So
yeah. So what else? Where we keep aside? What else here in this bill?
So then there's a lot of, like I said, a lot of zoning stuff that we talked about a little bit, but just different ways they're going to try to control the local governments, I think. And then a few grant programs, right? So there's Whole Home Repair Act, which is going to support grants and forgivable loans to preserve aging housing stock, affordable housing construction, as well as grants to help the state and local tribal governments plan for supporting housing growth. So I think just a lot of growth, a lot of money that's going to be thrown around to build homes, probably more so in lower income areas. And then the other cool thing, depending on where you're at, I mean, I wish this was still a thing in Chicago, but I think a lot of the collar towns, especially, by me, if I drive down to Kankakee and stuff, this applies. FHA small dollar mortgages. I don't know if if you looked into that or trying to buy I was looking in Kankakee maybe a couple years ago, and I was like, man, you can get like these houses. They're great deals for like $60,000.
Yeah, you can't finance them.
You can't finance it. Yeah. So they're doing it. They're going to have. They're working on through this bill. They're going to work on FHA loans that will work for those, as well as reviewing the fees that can be charged. I.e., let a bank charge you $4,000 to loan you $60,000 because they would have made that $4,000 on a $100,000 loan, but they can't charge that much on a $60,000. And so there's going to be new rules in place. Probably over the next few years, I would assume, for lending that's going to allow the mortgage broker to still make their money, and then the bank can loan it out and do it.
Did I see something in there about raising the limit
for FHA?
Yeah, again.
Not in the email. I'm looking through the email through NAR that I got, and it doesn't say it there. But I'm not saying it's not in there. It's just not highlighted by NAR in this email.
Because I thought that would be super helpful. I could have swore I put what you sent me into Claude. I could have swore that's what came out, but maybe it's wrong. Claude can be wrong too. Cool. Well, man, overall not that bad, and we do think it's going to pass. So, but we'll see how effective it is, I guess, right? So it seems like the more positive things are, the less effective they be, and the more negative they are, the more they hit you January 1st. Yeah.
I mean, it's the problem with it all, right? It's like very broad. It's just like, have HUD think about this. Like, were they not like their job is housing? Were they not thinking about this before? Like, your whole job is to like think about housing.
Yeah, but it's clearly in your company name.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, what else, man? What else other than is that it with that? And what else?
There's a bunch of there's a lot of little stuff in there that I have to research still a little bit more and figure out if it means anything. A lot of it, I think, some of the stuff's like, make sure that veterans know that VA loans exist, advertising stuff.
The VA education piece, I saw that. Yep.
Yeah. So that's probably the other big one it's not I don't even know you need a law for it. I think just, more lenders need to be willing to do VA loans, and then they'll advertise it and get through. But it's good to tell veterans what they have access to, because I think a lot of people don't realize they have it. I think
mortgage. I mean, if you don't even have to make it a HUD thing, think about this.
Yes, how mortgage people go.
Yeah, tell mortgage people or incentivize them, right? They go where the money's at. We all saw what happened in 2009. Yep. So, like, you incentivize them to, get more HUD loans, more VA loans. They'll spend their own advertising and education dollars to go find more people if they can make 1.3% higher, or 1.3 times higher than if they did a traditional FHA. Like, that's huge. Yeah. That's all you got to do.
Yep.
Show me an incentive, and I'll show you the result. So that was something that I thought would have been way easier than trying to make HUD do this. When we have our company meetings, a lot of times our to-dos are like, go talk to so-and-so about this. It's like, that doesn't actually solve the problem. So we've gotten away from that. But some of this writing is similar. Like, go figure this out. Go think about this. Go talk to this. So awesome, man. What else do we have that we want to share with our listeners?
We'll go TMZE here, only because it's entertaining and because I think there's a lesson here. But our friend Tiffany Henward, former mayor of Dolton, did she win, or is she's still running for Atlanta City Council somehow?
Yes.
She just got her ruling in a major lawsuit, and I don't know if anyone followed this story, but she owed her landlord over $10,000 in back rent as she was getting evicted. After she got fired from being mayor, she was then getting evicted. Had everything fall down on her. She was ruled not liable. Her boyfriend is liable for the money, but apparently she, despite living there and probably being the breadwinner, never actually signed the lease. So the judge ruled that they cannot go after her or require her to pay anything back, since she was not a party of the lease. So I think that's a good a good lesson for landlords if you're not doing it already. But if someone's living there and they're over 18, A, screen them, and B, have them sign the lease, because you never know if you got a couple living in your apartment and you only have the husband or the boyfriend sign, and he just one day gets mad and leaves. Now you have someone in there that's not on a lease, and that you have to work kind of harder to get out than if they just had a lease.
Yeah, I think the rule that we put in place a long time ago, I'm sure you have similar, is everyone over 18 has to apply. And most of the reason is like, hey, if me and my wife go, but my wife's been evicted before, but I haven't, and I come up clean, more than likely you two are in cahoots and are going to have the same spending habits where I don't want, I'm just missing out on a huge red flag there. So that is something that is a non-stopper. Now, to the back end of that, people are probably listening saying, hey, they weren't part of the application process. I never knew they existed. But hey, if you're going to a property a couple times a year, or if you're going there, regular routine maintenance, or you're cleaning the hallways, the multi, you'll know probably if somebody's living there, additional person. And that, no matter what lease you have, more than likely it says in there that you do not allow extra occupants without approval. And that's where you can whip out that 10-day notice. And I think our lease says something that a second person cannot stay there for more than 7 nights or something like that in a calendar year. It's worded something like that. So
what's I think mine, the way that I've caught some people is I mean, it's super obvious, but you never look, but they get too comfortable. I've seen people where their names start being on mailboxes.
Yeah.
That's like the number one sign. Like, you can't tell me he doesn't live here. You literally put his name on the mailbox, and he's getting mail here.
Yeah, mail in the mailbox, or especially if you have an apartment building, you have the overflow of junk mail that ends up on the floor or on top of the mailbox that has these random people's names that were not your previous tenant or not your current tenant, but are now coming to that address. So, that's definitely a red flag.
So, and I think this is probably a South Side story that you probably don't have to deal with too much, but I actually had someone living in our hallway claim residency based on having mail delivered with her name on it to the hallway or to.
Come on. How'd that affect you? Like, you went to go kick her out? She said, "No, I live here." Like, how'd that?
Yeah, we couldn't. We had to evict her from the hallway.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was a fun one. It was a really weird thing. The whole story was basically her dad lived above, was an older veteran that wasn't all there anymore, and she was basically, he wouldn't let her live there anymore because she was abusive to him, but he also didn't have the heart to lock her fully out. So she was still getting mail to the building, but she was living in the hallway and sleeping in the hallway, and all her stuff was in the hallway. And we had to go through a legal process to get her out fully because she was getting mail there. Normally, a hallway wouldn't suffice as I live here, but the mail certified her as an occupant.
Jeez, that's crazy. That is a Southwest Side type event right there, South or West Side event. Yep. We've had a couple of those where we've just had people like, sometimes that front door lock gets busted or it doesn't close all the way, and they know that, and they find their way in. But we've had to catch them and kick them out or shoo them away a couple of times. But we've also had abandoned buildings where we've had people do that. And before, now this goes way back, I used to be like, all right, let's say it's abandoned. If they need a place, like, that's fine. But then that first big fire we had, it's like, all right, well, maybe that's not a good idea. I thought I was doing like I think I was 24 years old. I'm like, I was just trying to, he needs a place. I'm not doing anything with it. Like, what does it hurt? Like, and then all of a sudden that building burned down, and I could never trace it back to that person, but there's a really good chance that he was involved. So,
yeah, probably one way or the other. We found like microwaves before plugged in like basements where they broke in. We found like electric heaters that weren't ours, all of a sudden plugged in. So they got to live, but yeah.
Well, I think you bring up a good point there, and just full disclosure, that property I was letting a homeless guy live in was a property I owned. It wasn't a client's, but make sure that's important. Like, I wasn't just volunteering our clients' properties. That was something I owned, and it did burn down. But the other thing is, you get a lot of these unfinished basements that probably you and me would not justify as livable space, right? Or maybe cellar-like type conditions. and all of a sudden they have a bedroom down there, and we're not talking about homeless people anymore, but just people taking that space and using it probably in a way that's unsafe, whether it be ventilation down there or definitely one way in, one way out. So whenever you see those situations, you definitely need to look out for that. We had a commercial tenant, 65th and Cottage Grove, the Jerk Chicken. It's not the same owner. I think she passed away, but she had a entire like home set up in the basement, and it was in a nice basement. It was just like a 6 foot, very dark, like it was a true 130-year-old basement. So we had to work with her to like, hey, like you can't do that. Like, so we gave her a little time, but it was just very unsafe down there.
Yeah.
Below a restaurant that, it has a high case of fires. It's like, you just can't be there.
She was probably working, it's probably a 2-man shop. They were working from 8 a.m. for breakfast to midnight serving. She just didn't want to drive home.
Oh man, she was. She was right from. I couldn't tell you what country, but she was like right from an African country. Like here, only a handful of years. Total entrepreneur capitalist. Like I loved it. Yeah. Like she was awesome, but it's like you got it. You can't save the money living in that basement, dude, because something's gonna happen and it's gonna be my liability.
Yep, exactly.
And that was shortly after the other house burned down from the homeless guy. I thought it was right. So like there was some of that. Like, oh no, I can't let you burn down this building where there's actually people in it and so forth. So.
No, absolutely. What else you got? Anything else happen this week?
No, we have. We had the weather. I think we're gonna get some more weather tomorrow, so we're just kind of getting ready for that. It's crazy. We have stuff all over the map, so no matter where the weather's at, we usually are affected somehow, some way. But looking for that, and then 4th of July, we always tend to. The cool thing about 4th of July is you tend to not have as many work orders. But the few you do have end up being pretty big problems. So I know we had a couple of small fires and fireworks hurting people or landing on a roof and starting smoking and stuff like that. So just kind of getting mentally prepared to handle that and have the manpower. So
it's a good time to next week to send out reminders to not barbecue on the porch, or at least not with open flames, and take us to the yard if you're on a barbecue. But I do think that it's good to have, if you have a yard in your building, to keep it usable, right? And let them use it, because that's probably why that's part of the reason why they wanted the space is the yard and stuff like that. So I like to say, make sure the lawn's taken care of and stuff like that, especially this weekend coming up, because they're probably gonna have guests over and all that, and they want to show it off and put your good foot there, but warn them in terms of noise violations, and hey, it's got to calm down there. No doing fireworks and no grills on the porch.
I have to think that it's going to be a crazy 4th of July. And the funny thing is I'm playing it more so my dog. Like my dog's going to get super anxious. But, man, it's 250 years. I know I will probably have a little extra spend on fireworks this year myself. And then if that holds true times the hundreds of other people that are doing it in the neighborhoods, like it's going to be a crazy loud it'll probably start here even this weekend. So
at least in the southwest suburbs, it started about maybe 4 weeks ago. It has not. It's been every night for the last month. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, you got quick access to Indiana as well too for the good stuff. So
true.
I'm going to Cincinnati on the 1st, so I'll have a nice long drive through Indiana myself. So I'm gonna take advantage of that.
We went on Sunday to go strawberry picking in Indiana. Gas was $3.10. I think $3.15 that we just paid to fill up. Like, I might have to take more trips to Indiana just for gas and fireworks.
It's actually getting cheaper to drive to Indiana, fill up your gas tank than it is to fill it up here.
It's getting there. It's pretty close. It's crazy.
So, all right, man. Great episode. Listeners, thank you. If you guys have any questions ever, property manager, or topics you want to hear about, myself and Tim are always here. You could message us on LinkedIn, message us on Facebook. You can Google us. We have our information up right here. If you did get some value from this, please forward this recording to someone else. We are live every Thursday or Friday, depending on me and Tim's schedule, but we have been consistent and we plan to be consistent. So we appreciate you tuning in, and we will see you next week.